So back to the studio, and now with the European Development Finance Institution Association. So we'll get the broader perspective on how they integrate into their strategy this whole green agenda, the Paris climate goals also, and how they channel private investment towards the transition that we need, the green transition that we need in developing countries. So we have two speakers with us today. We have, I see already, Christiane RUDOLPH. Christiane RUDOLPH is Director of Strategy and Impact at DEG, the German Development Finance Institution, and we'll have also joining Søren ANDREASEN, General Manager of EDFI. So I will start. I don't see Søren on my screen, but hopefully he is online. I see Christiane, so I will already start with you, Christiane, with the first question, and basically for our auditor to understand what does for you the Paris alignment mean for your activity.
Yeah, thank you, and great to be here. I think most of the countries we are operating in are not the cause of climate change, but are severely affected by climate change. And we at DEG, we counted that 1/3 of our portfolio is in countries that are severely affected by climate change and that lack to tackle these problems. Today, we have a closer look on the business models and where we could support our clients in their business models and becoming more resilient. And in addition, from a climate perspective, we foster transformation and help companies in financing, for example, a mix of energy supply, adding renewables. So I do think Paris put climate on the agenda in a different way.
Is Søren with us, or I don't see him? Okay, so we will continue with you, Christiane. So now how you talk about this broader perspective and the commitment, how in practice do you ensure that climate finance contributes to addressing climate challenge, but at the same time, the society need and the challenge in combating both. We just saw the bamboo village example, so you have the climate adaptation, at the same time it continues to deliver on development. How much do you manage to do that, and what are the challenges there?
It remains the first priority of EDFIs to partner with the private sector to drive sustainable local development and to offer people in emerging markets prosperous livelihoods. We will miss our main target by focusing on climate finance only. There are three critical aspects for me. First, we have to continue to finance, even intensify to finance sustainable infrastructure, to provide people with access to water, access to health, access to ICT, access to logistics. This is not a net zero business. When we look at the top 10 of our very high emitters at DEG, you will find water supply companies, because water needs to be pumped to be supplied. Do we stop financing water suppliers? Of course not. What is new that we check with them on technologies and approaches available to reduce their footprint. What is also new, we are preparing for the fact that we have to neutralize the unavoidable emissions, for example, by investing in carbon sinks. So we have to continue into financing sustainable infrastructure. Second, climate finance has to include transformation finance for brown industries, supporting business models to become more climate friendly. We at DEG will broaden our finance and advice in accompanying these companies, but it's important to have transformation on the agenda, as same as financing green projects. Third, in all our discussions on climate finance and on green transformation, we should not forget the urgently needed societal transformation. Be it at EDFI, we are good in financing SME, financing women, supporting skills and trainings among the workforces in our companies. It's important that we care for climate in all these topics, but we rather should enlarge our investments in societal transformations, be it women, be it skills, be it training, being supporting or providing finance, access to finance for SMEs. Climate is more or less spread over all 17 SDGs, but there is a reason why there are 17 SDGs.
Thank you, Christiane. And I see that now we have Søren with us online. Welcome, Søren. And I will give you the opportunity maybe to say a word. I just asked Christiane on what does it mean for you, the Paris alignment, and how in concrete do you manage to integrate that into the broader development objective of your banks, and how do you fit it together with societal needs? So Christiane explained some example like the water, for example, but if you can complete and give a bit your perspective on this point, that would be great.
Absolutely. Very nice to be with you. I was able to hear the whole conversation, but somehow you couldn't see me. I just want to make sure that you see me okay now. Is that the case, Cécile?
Yeah, can confirm.
Yeah, brilliant. So, no, I mean, Christiane is exactly right when she speaks from the experience of DEG as the German DFI, that DFIs are now on a journey to align all our operations, all the financing that we do with the Paris Agreement, and that this means that we have this as a major objective alongside the development imperative that we have to help the economic transformation in emerging and frontier economies so that they become more inclusive and, of course, also more sustainable. And first and foremost, the job that we have to do as DFIs is to mobilize private capital flows to private enterprises and financial institutions in these countries that are aligned with the objectives of the Paris Agreement. And so what does that mean? It means, first and foremost, that we will look to make sure that all the financing that we do is in line with the national and sector plans in place for alignment with the climate objectives. And it means that we will take into account climate risk in everything we do across all the different sectors that we work in, so that we don't finance projects that are with, in a sense, technologies that are becoming obsolete in the context of the climate objectives, and that don't lock in climate effects or have risks of becoming stranded assets due to the implementation of climate objectives. So we will be looking at these things for all the financing that we do, while of course also we keep the other development objectives in mind. And then in addition, as DFIs, when we agreed to do this alignment at the project level at the end of last year, the 15 members of EDFI, there was also an agreement to align all of our investment portfolios with a net zero objective or net zero emissions position by 2050 at the latest. And this means that our institutions really in a sense, agreed to put themselves in a position where they will become a force in the transformation, that they will be trying to be at the forefront of coming to an economy that is aligned with a 1.5 degree pathway and play a catalytic role in that. So that will definitely be the case in the energy sector, where we have already gone very far looking at limiting fossil fuels and having very extensive exclusions in this area. But it will obviously also be the case in other sectors that are critical in the transformation, like transport, for instance, in infrastructure and other sectors.
Thank you, Søren. I'm sorry, we still have less than 1 minute, and I want you to just answer very quickly one last question. We heard in the first high-level panel that there is really a difficulty also to measure success and to sort of have the same indicator also for what is ESG. How you are dealing with that, and how do you measure success at EDFI?
Well, we are in the fortunate position as DFIs that we were created from the very beginning quite some time ago to be impact investors first. And that means that we've come very far in having aligned ways of measuring the impact of what we do. I think in the area of our transition to net zero, we still are working on developing harmonized tools to track and emissions in a very, very credible way. And actually, this is also a major challenge for the private financial institutions that we invest with, that they have access to very credible and also accessible tools for these types of things. So we are investing a lot in developing tools that we can use and that are also relevant to other private investors.
Thanks a lot. I'm afraid we're short of time, so we have to finish this session. But the good news is we will hear later more about the EDFI, because we have an interview later on with 2 other EDFI members. So we will see exactly how this cooperation between the 15 DFI is taking shape in practice, because as we saw earlier on, it is key to move and to improve ourselves on that. And I think EDFI is a key witness or a key contribution to this debate. So we'll be back to you.